Welcome to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. Tonight's episode is a continuation of some recent interviews I've done over on the TikTok platform. These are raw and very much unexpected. They're from all corners of the U.S. and all corners of the world, things that we really haven't broached yet in the topic of Bigfoot. So pretty intense. Buckle up for these ones. I think you're really going to enjoy them. And again, listen with an open mind. Enjoy.
Hey, Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Did you have an encounter to share?
Yes, actually, I just wanted to pop on real quick because this is something that, so basically I was in Canada and I was
And
third.
sorry, before we get going, Kelly, is it possible if I could use this audio for my podcast at all, or is this off record?
Oh, it's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's okay to use that. All right, feel free to go ahead.
Okay, so I was 13 years old and I was in Canada and I was with my uncle, my aunt, and my cousin, and we were on a train and we were going through there was a lot of trees. It was a very wooded area, and I looked down and I saw a Bigfoot walking. To this day, I am 49 years old. I remember every detail. I can still see it exactly how it happened. I was terrified at once I saw this, I started screaming and I was like, oh my gosh, because I was younger, I'm thinking there's a monster out there. But absolutely walking, standing up in the woods. I saw it for several seconds as we were going by, so I could see exactly I knew what I was looking at. But yeah, my whole entire family, they all know about this story because I've never stopped talking about it. And yeah, that's basically what happened.
So you said this happened in Canada. Was it a certain area in Canada?
I've not gone back to ask my uncle get the details of exactly where we were, which I could find out and just ask him, but that's what I remember. My uncle got married. I went with my cousin and him and his wife. They were on their honeymoon, so they took us with them. It was like a family trip, and yeah. But
And other people saw it as well?
no, it was just me.
Just you. Okay,
Yep.
wow, very interesting.
It
Do you
was.
remember anything about the way it moved when it was walking? Did it have a certain gait at all?
You could tell when it was walking. It almost seemed like it was because obviously we were up off the ground, but it was still close enough to where when I looked down to see it, it almost had a heaviness to the walk, I guess you can say. Maybe if you could think of a more heavy set person when they walk versus someone who's less heavy, but you could just tell it was just kind of swaying. But absolutely, without a doubt, never forgot it. I can still see it when I close my eyes. Like I said, I was terrified. I was very scared when I saw that. Because I was old enough to know, you know what I mean? I was 13, so I wasn't a child, so I was old enough to know what I saw.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it stuck with me to this day.
Were you able to see if it was a certain color at all?
It was definitely very dark brown, very dark brown. Not a light color, just a very dark brown to black for sure. And I mean, it literally looked like a huge, ape, walking. When you look down, that's exactly what I saw.
How far away from you would you estimate it was when you were on the train?
Um, I remember looking down and we were like above the trees. Again, I don't know the specific distance, but like when I looked down, you could see like the top of the trees. We were above the trees where we were. Um, but the trees were not as thick, so you could still see like, the area where it was walking.
Hmm.
But I saw it, it was clear as day. It was just staring like ahead. It didn't seem like this train affected it, like,
Gotcha.
you know, but yeah.
So, could you see any details of the face from the viewpoint that you had?
Um I would say not so much. Um but when I looked down and I saw it, I mean, you could just tell like if you were to see like an ape like from a long distance, like that's what I saw. But like
Hmm.
it was fully like hair, like top to bottom, like not us, and but yes, I mean, I saw, and I do remember like as it was walking, like, the arms were just moving, but it just seemed like it was just shifting like side to side, like a heaviness to it. um but yeah.
That's very, very interesting. Were you able to see a shape to the head at all?
um I would say kind of similar to this picture you have behind you. Um,
Hmm.
the head was big enough to where, um, again, I can't say too much of the details of the actual face, but it has like the kind of head that's sort of behind you, like
Sure.
like that much hair on it. Like when you look down and you see this, it's like in the middle of nowhere, and you just know that that's um uh
Absolutely. And thank you so much for answering all my questions. I have just one more, and I appreciate you hanging out up here for a bit. What would you say, is there one detail that stuck out that made you think, okay, what I'm looking at right now is definitely a Bigfoot?
I think for me was that as soon as I saw it, I recognized that like what it was, meaning that I was instantly like terrified. Like I was very scared. Um and I've always I've watched scary movies before. They've never really affected me when, like, when I was younger and stuff like that. But when I looked down and I saw this thing, it was almost like I always heard of Bigfoot, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
I never, you know, did research on it. I wasn't involved in it like when I was younger or anything like that. But when I saw it, I knew exactly what it was. I started, I watched it for at least, I would say 5 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds. Like I mean, and it was walking like just through the woods. And when sometimes I laugh with my uncle, to this day. Again, this was when I was 13. I'm 49 now, and I tell him like, "You remember when I saw Bigfoot?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I wouldn't stop talking about it for days." you
That's
know,
funny.
but yeah, that
Wow.
was my instinct. It was like when I saw it, it was instantly like I knew what it was. You know what I mean? It was like it was like
Absolutely.
as soon as I saw it, there was nothing else, like 100%. But yeah.
Wow. Kelly, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you sharing what you saw that day, and for providing some additional insight into what you experienced. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciated being able to share that.
Let's see, we've got Gary wanting to come up. Hi, Gary. How are you?
All right, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And were you wanting to come up to share about a Bigfoot encounter you've had?
I just wanted to say thank you. You actually did my video last year in October. I'm the truck driver that saw Bigfoot in Peoria, Illinois.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I'm still the Bigfoot guy of Central Illinois, and it's been a blast. I always get questions asked, and a lot of them I can't answer, but yeah, it's just been a blast, and it's gotten to the point where I want to see him again, but the thing scared me so much I don't want to see it. It's like I want to see it, but I don't want to see it, and it's
And Gary, real quick, are you okay if I use this audio for my podcast?
oh yeah,
Okay, great. Thank you. So, wow, so you are the individual that saw it while truck driving. That is so cool, man. That is so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and you did my video, and we got over 1 million views on that thing, and it's just I'm still the Bigfoot guy of Peoria, and it's been crazy. That
And
someone says,
that was on
okay,
TikTok,
well,
right?
I was yeah. I'm just gonna tell the story. I was working early morning shift. It was about 5:45. I was headed to a town called Canton, and we have this little wooded area called Banner Marsh, and it was pretty dark. Like I said, it was October, so it was still pretty dark around that time. I'm going, like I said, towards Canton, and over to the left in the wooded area it's this thing standing on the side of the road. But I didn't notice it until I got directly up on it. And yeah, the whole encounter was about 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I passed the thing right by. I believe I kind of startled it a little bit because he looked like he was getting ready to cross the street as I was approaching. And yeah, the crazy part about it is we have cameras in our trucks, and the company would not give me the video for nothing. But I
Oh,
remember
wow.
Matt Moneybaker bought me a camera, and then the company banned me from putting the camera on the truck. We have cameras
Wow.
on our truck, and I'm pretty sure
Wow.
and it's weird because like even my boss when he talks to me now, our boss is out of Chicago. I work in Peoria,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever I talk to him, he's like, "Hey man, did you see Bigfoot again? Did you like?" He's really intrigued about it, but they would not release this video to save my life. Yeah,
Wow. That
yeah,
is, and do you do that route often?
yep. I was still on that same route until about a month ago. They finally took me off of it, but now I'm going even further now. So, but yeah, ever since that day, it's like I'm looking for deer. I'm looking for Bigfoot. I'm looking for deer. I'm looking for Bigfoot because even after my story, there were I say maybe five more stories just like mine, and
Uh-huh.
someone saw like Bigfoot tracks at a place called Wildlife Prairie Park. We have here. We have like a lot of land here. A lot of like prairie land, and it's just yeah. And whenever somebody brings up Bigfoot, they always brings up my story, and it's been a blast though.
No, it absolutely, it's one of those ones that is always going to be told about in the Peoria area. And it's just it's so so interesting. Do you remember any details about the creature that you saw cross in front of you that day?
He was getting ready to cross, and like I said, I didn't see him until I was right up on him. So the thing was so big. I'm sitting up on a 20 foot box truck, so I'm sitting up pretty high. And the thing was, we were sitting about eyesight towards to each other. So I'm thinking this thing was at least 8 feet tall because I noticed his eyes. He had like glowing eyes. You know what I'm saying? He had like glowing eyes, and all I know is I can remember seeing the lower half of him really clear, and it was just like really dark brown tangled fur. And as I'm looking, I'm looking, and I've never seen anything like that, so I couldn't wrap my mind around what it was. I'm sitting there thinking like, what is that? What is that? I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and I just see these eyes just looking at me, like that's where I noticed the eyes was glowing, and it just scared the out of me. I got to
Uh-huh.
where I was going, and I freaked out. I told the ladies that I was delivering the mail to what I've seen, and everyone thought I was crazy until about 2 or 3 days later. It was all over the news. I did radio shows. It was
Oh yeah, it was
everything.
huge.
Yeah,
It was a really big deal. What color were the glowing eyes?
they were like a dark yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a dark yellow, but it was like reflective at the same time. I have no idea. No, it's like it's hard to explain because I've never seen anything like that,
Right.
and it really did scare me.
Did it remind you more of an ape type creature or something that was more human?
Something that was more human.
Mm.
And ever since that day, I've been looking and researching, and I've just come very interested in it. And I believe these things are intelligent, and I believe they know exactly what they're doing. They know how to keep away from people. And I was thinking, like, how do they get around, from one side of town to the other? And we have all these creeks around Peoria, Illinois. We have creeks going from
Hmm.
one end to the other end, so they can pretty much get around undetected. So yeah, that thing is, it was really huge. So I would say at least like 8 feet tall, and just me looking at the size of this thing's legs. I mean, I believe he could have, if he wanted to, he could have kicked the truck over. If I was standing still or if I was parked, if he wanted to, he could have easily just tilted this thing. Like, this
Uh,
dude was huge. Yeah.
so you could see, could you see muscle under the hair then?
No, I didn't see muscle under the hair, but I could see just by the size of the legs. Like I said, I didn't see the thing
Mm.
until I was directly up on it. It was like if I didn't look up, if I was looking down on my computer or anything, I would have missed it because the whole
Wow.
thing lasted 5 seconds. It was just crazy. So I went to the company. I said, "Hey man, I just saw something really crazy," and I gave them the time and date. It's like, okay, well we'll look at it for you. We can't give you the video. We can't pull the video up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it
right.
was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, they couldn't get the video all of a sudden, man. But yeah, every time I talk to my boss, hey man, did you see anything crazy? Did you witness anything crazy? Like, no, no. It's just it's been a blast. Yeah.
Would you do anything differently if you're able to have, let's say you're driving your truck again, you have another sighting, would you do anything differently?
If it's at the right time, yeah. I've been looking, I've been hoping that I could actually see this thing and I could get out and record it with my phone or something like that because I'm not allowed to have cameras on the truck now.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, if I was to see it at a nice distance, now, as close as I was up on this thing before, no, I would hit the gas. That's what I would do. I'm not going to lie about that. I would take off. But if I can see them at a nice distance, yeah, I would love to record this thing.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that maybe you'll be able to get that chance again. I mean, there are so many truckers out there that have sightings that I've talked to. It is absolutely intense, but it does make sense spending
Yeah.
so much time on the road. Well, Gary, it's so good to talk to you again. Thank you so much for coming up and for sharing your story again.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good stuff. It's good talking to Gary again. That's a cool story. And you can look it up. I believe it's on the BFRO. Let's see, LL is here. What's up with LL? Hey, LL, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome. Did you have something to share, an encounter, anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't see him. I didn't see him with my eyes, but I did have an encounter. I wanted to share it.
That's awesome. Before we get started, do you mind if I potentially use this audio on my podcast?
Yeah, go for it, man. No problem.
All right. Yeah, feel free to share what you experienced.
Yeah, so I live in Northern California, um, and there's surrounded by nothing but redwood trees and forest. As soon as you get out of town, um, so one of my close friends He's a Native American guy. Told me a story a long time ago about us seeing a Sasquatch. Him and his whole family were up in the mountains, and his whole family saw this Sasquatch up in the mountains in this particular area. But I can't name the area because it's like a sacred, like a special place to them.
Yeah, I totally got you.
Can't
Yep.
name the exact area.
Yep.
But he said that they seen a Sasquatch up there when they were young, but it wasn't just him. It was like his whole family saw it. And so anyways, years late, because that happened when he was like younger, like a kid. And but his whole family saw it. And then years later, after I met him and everything, he told me that story and stuff. And so several years went by, and my girlfriend at the time wanted to go camp up, pretty close to this same area, and she wanted to go for a hike up there, and she was real into the outdoors and hiking and stuff like that. So she got me to go with her up there, and it's pretty much up in the middle of nowhere. It's high up in the mountains, and it's one of the highest places around here, actually, from what I understand, elevation wise. But she got me to go up there, and there's nothing around up there. It was just like some old logging roads, and the pavement actually stops, and it just turns into gravel and old logging roads, and trails and stuff like that. So we went camping up there, and we picked this spot that it was like basically overlooking the valley, but it was like, it's hard to explain. It was like sticking out, and so it was like surrounded. It was like you could walk out on this little peninsula, almost like a peninsula sticking out, where you were like surrounded by basically cliff around all sides. So it was like a peninsula sticking out, but it was overlooking the whole valley, and it was covered with like a gravel.
Sure.
And so we ended up camping right there in that gravelly spot and throwing up our little tent there. And then so we didn't want to have a fire. We didn't have a fire that night. We actually just put a little candle out and had our little glasses of wine and our little meal there, and went to bed. And we had both, and she knew my friend too. We had both heard his story about seeing a Bigfoot up there. But so we went to bed, not thinking anything of it. And then, and I should say earlier in the day, we kept hearing sounds like, but it was just sounded like, like we figured it was some animal or something. Like we kept hearing like when we first got there and we were setting up camp, we'd hear like, gravel falling down the cliff over here, or some, rustling of bushes over there, that kind of thing, but nothing unusual, just like animal sounds, And so anyway, we had our little glass of wine and meal and stuff, and went to bed. And then like as soon as we got in our tent and got in our sleeping bags and went to bed, we start hearing these footsteps in the gravel, just like from a distance off, but it sounded like really heavy crunching sound, because it like I said, it was all gravel, so it was just like crunch, 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 like really heavy footsteps. And the footsteps just start getting, but there's nothing out there. There's no houses. There's no like campsites. There's just nothing, We didn't see any other cars or camping or anybody out in the whole area. It's way up in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. And so we hear crunch, 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 just getting closer and closer, but like just real slow steps, just one after the other. One, and you could hear this just getting closer and closer and closer to our tent. And until the point where it sounded like whatever this was like standing like right over us, because that's how close the footsteps got. And at that point, I'm like losing my I didn't know what this was. I'm thinking, is this like some like mass murderer standing over us with a gun or something? Like,
Right.
what's going on here? It was just real creepy, real creepy feeling, and I don't know what's going on. And my girlfriend, I don't know why she was so brave about it, because I'm like peeing my pants practically, not saying anything, but just like frozen, you know. And and um, actually, I started praying. To be perfectly honest, I started praying because I'm something was standing over our tent, you know, and it's dark, pitch black out, middle of nowhere. And so I'm by the time like stopped being frozen, I started praying, and she went over there and like just ripped open the fly and like popped her head out all in one motion. In the time it took her to just rip open the zipper like that fast, just zoop, I heard this thing take two huge steps, like crunch, crunch, and then a slide. I could see what it did in my head just from the sound. It like slid on its knee, and it just so happened that there was like this because you got to think I was freaking out, but she wasn't acting super scared. It was like she didn't. It was almost like she didn't believe it, you know. But I was like freaking out, and so my senses were all like super heightened. You know what I'm saying? Like I was here listening to every little detail and just laying there silently, you know. And and it sounded like just in that quick of instant of her ripping open the fly, I heard crunch, crunch, and then like a slide on the ground. And she like ripped it open and popped her head out as quick as she possibly could, looked around and said she couldn't see anything. And then and she looked around for a minute or two. She didn't get out of the tent. She just like popped her head out, looked around, didn't see anything, waited a few seconds, and then closed it back up. And then right after she closed it up, we heard the crunch, crunch, crunch. Slow. It didn't start right away, like the second she zipped it up, but just like a couple minutes later, like as soon as like she zipped it up and then waited a couple minutes, didn't hear nothing. Then I started listening again. You could hear that crunching sound slowly going away, going away, and going away. And I stayed awake all night worrying. Like I couldn't even go back to sleep after that. And I think I maybe got a little, finally fell asleep for maybe an hour or two early in the morning kind of thing. But she went to sleep again. And then in the morning, we got up and looked, and you could see these big old impressions in the gravel. It wasn't like mud, you know, it was gravel. So like it wasn't a super clear footprint, but you could see these big flat press impressions still, you know, that were like bigger, way bigger than my foot, you know, in the gravel. And so I followed those back, and you could see this slide mark, and it just so happened to be there was this rock pile, like it was kind of like they were doing some rock quarrying up there at one time, maybe from the road or something. But there was like this big pile of rocks that was fairly near our tent, and the slide mark was like right behind it, like whatever this thing was had taken a couple huge steps and slid on the ground, like right, and got in a position right behind this rock pile. And then and so that was it. But it was up in that exact area where my friend said his whole family saw that Bigfoot. And then like we went for a hike that day, and this part I still to this day I'm not sure if it was just in my imagination. Could I even see that again or what? But like when we got like after hiking for maybe like I don't know an hour, half hour or something, we looked back to the area that we had been camping, you know, because there was like this big open rock face like overlooking where we were camping on this little peninsula. So it was like up above where we were camping, like right directly above it. And I don't know if it was just the perfect lighting. I think if you didn't see it at the right time of day, you wouldn't see it, you know, but from the way the sun was hitting that rock formation right above where we were camping, it just looked like a full-on Bigfoot head and shoulders, big old brow ridge, and just like a bust, you know, like head and shoulders overlooking the whole area where we were camping right there. Like it had the lips, the nose, the big old brow ridge, the shoulders, no neck, you know what I'm saying? It just looked like a perfect Bigfoot bust. And I don't know if it was just you know, it had to be just the way the light was hitting it just perfectly, you know what I mean? It makes me want to kind of go back there just to see if I could get a picture of that at the right time of day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that would
was
be
it,
incredible.
man. Freaked me out, man.
Wow, man, it's stories like that where and it just feels like your heart's going to come out of your chest when you're in a situation like that. And I mean, good on you for making it through. I can't imagine going through something like that, knowing that whatever it was right above your tent.
Yeah, man.
Wild stuff.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I was freaking out, man. I don't know how she wasn't so scared like I was. She didn't seem like she held it against me or nothing, man. She was cool, but I don't know, man. I was
She
like,
sounds like
are you
she's a good
stupid?
one.
Why were you scared?
It would be interesting if you go to a website like bigfootmap.com, the Bigfoot Mapping Project, and find the area that you were at, see if there's any like sightings or anything nearby. Because I know you were saying that you can't really mention the area because it is it's pretty held sacred,
Yeah. Well,
etc. So
there's Bigfoot sightings all over that whole area and my whole area in general, because I'm up here in Northern California, so we're right by Trinity County and up there by the reservation, that whole area, like, they have tons of Bigfoot sightings.
oh sure, yeah, that whole area is crazy. I think we're thinking of the same area. But man, LL, thank you so much for coming up. Keep me in mind if anything else happens, or if you're able to, try to get back to that area and take a picture, and you do see something that looks like a Bigfoot. That'd be kind of cool area. But yeah, you can always contact me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. But it's been a pleasure chatting with you tonight.
Yeah, okay, thanks, man. Sounds good. One other thing is, like, I've heard stories from some of my other native friends that
Okay.
they've said, like, I don't want to slaughter their story, but I've heard things like, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, they'd said, like, they would actually come out and participate in ceremonies with the people and, like, dance and things like that. And if I remember right, they said something happened. There was some event happened, and then they went into hiding, kind of thing. And then the other thing I was going to mention is I've heard that they have some type of, like, earth magic, that they, like, some actual magic they're able to use to, like, camouflage themselves.
That's extremely interesting. I can tell you, I've interviewed a few what used to be considered medicine man. They're called something different now. But one from well, let's just say different tribes across the U.S. And both of them as well had stories about there are certain ceremonies, and usually when they're performing their ceremonies, they will see a Sasquatch on the edge of the ceremony that involves drums. It's very, very interesting. I haven't heard the second thing that you've mentioned there, but really heard some interesting things over the years. I remember talking to an individual. His name was Henry Franzoni, who's no longer with us, but he had told me in an interview that the Native Americans in his area of the Pacific Northwest, they would actually say that the Sasquatch were able to control the movements of your body, and they could even control you to walk off a cliff if they wanted to. It's very, very interesting stuff when you bring the Native American side into things, and I think there's a lot that we can learn from passed down oral traditions for sure. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, but yeah, man, they're supposed to have some type of like spiritual powers or something that allows them to do that kind of stuff. I don't know. That's what I've heard too. So thanks, man.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Well, maybe we'll talk again someday, but have a good one, man.
You too. Thanks.
Vivica wants to come up and share here, it looks like. Hey, Vivica, how's it going?
It's going.
Good. Did you have an
going.
experience you'd like to share?
No, I was going down the road on the highway, and with my mother,
Okay.
and she was driving. My mother was driving. I happened to look across the Warree River in South Carolina, Warree River, and I saw the Bigfoot. I mean, he was humongous. Come from the water, going back into the woods. I said, Mama, that's a Bigfoot. That's a Bigfoot. And she said, I'm not going to look out. I'm driving this car. but I saw it, and I remember that for the rest of my life. But
Wow.
I did see him. I will remember that till the day I die.
And where did you say that was?
And it's going toward Columbia, South Carolina.
Ah, okay, Columbia, South Carolina. Cool, cool, cool.
Yes.
Wow. So you didn't actually see it yourself, but the other person in the car did.
Yeah. I saw it. My other person, that
Got
was
it.
my mother, and she was driving, and she had her on the road, eyes on the road. But I saw it, and I told her, I said, "Mom, that's a Bigfoot."
How old were you when you had the sighting?
Oh, about 20, 30, about 20 and 30.
20 to 30 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Can you explain what you saw? Do you remember any details about that?
No, I'm just, we were going across the Rory River, and I was looking over there. I wanted to see what I could see in the river, and then I kept going, and then I say, that looks like a Bigfoot. And so, I kept looking at it. It was going back into the woods. I guess it had been fishing or whatever. It caught its food. It was going back into the woods. And I said, I don't believe this. I don't believe this, but I saw a Bigfoot.
Is this the first time that you've told this story, or have you told it to people before?
No, this first time.
This is the first time. Wow, this
Yeah.
is a really big deal. Thank you for sharing this. Do you
Okay.
remember the color of the hair at all?
It was blackish brown.
Okay. How tall would you say it was?
Ooh, have mercy. I know he had to be at least 10, 11 feet tall.
Yes,
He,
ma'am. He was
he was,
big. He was big. Do you mind if I use this audio for my podcast about Bigfoot as well?
no, I do not.
So
No.
you're saying that's okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So did you have did you look at it from the side then, or were you able to see the face at all?
No, he was going back into the woods.
Okay. So you saw the back of it?
The back of it. And I saw the back of it because I guess he's near the highway, but he's so used to. I guess it's used to all the traffic on the highway. He's
Right.
used to it, so it doesn't bother him. So I guess he got a fish or whatever he had to get, and he went back into the woods.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Do you remember anything weird about the way that it was walking towards the woods, about its gait at all?
No,
Okay.
they just walk like it's like you and I would walk. They're just walking.
Okay. So was it on 2 legs or 4 legs?
Two.
2 legs. Okay. Do you remember anything about its arms at all?
Long.
Long? How long would you say?
About a little bit longer than what our arms would be like.
Okay.
A little bit longer.
So longer than us. Gotcha.
Yes.
Were you able to see was there a shape to its head at all?
No, it just like eyes. It had regular size head, but I don't think I can see was he was going back into the woods, and so that I could see.
Okay, gotcha. Do you remember anything? Was it muscular looking? Did it look like a football player or a basketball player?
By a football player.
Okay, gotcha. Was very muscular then?
Yes. Yes. And I say, Mama, that's a Bigfoot. And she said, I'm keeping my eyes on this road,
Right.
and I'm not gonna see what they is. I'm keeping my eyes on the road. But
Incredible.
I'm writing I've written a children's book about Bigfoot. It's a children's book,
Oh, okay.
but I got yeah, you know, I like Bigfoot. I really appreciate him.
What's the name of the book?
Um, um, well, I haven't really named it. I haven't really named it
Oh,
yet.
oh, so you haven't, you're working on it right now. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, cool, cool. That's great.
Yeah, I'm just really working on it. A life in times of Mother Bigfoot. Mother
I love
Bigfoot.
it.
Hmm.
Vivica, when you get that release, can you send me an email or message on this platform about it so that I can check it out and share about it?
Yes. Yes. I
Very
will.
good.
I
Very good.
will. Okay.
How did you
Okay.
how did you feel after you had that sighting of the Bigfoot that day?
Well, I really, I think I don't believe I didn't see it, but I didn't believe how big it was.
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't believe. And then I looked, I say, Mama, slow down. And Mama said, I'm going to traffic, and she's going to traffic. So, but at least I saw it. At least I saw it.
that's incredible. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing. I mean, for the first
Okay.
time, you finally sharing
Yes.
what you saw that day. I
Yes.
really
Yes.
appreciate that. Thank you, Vivica.
Thank you. All right. All right. You take care. Bye
Yes,
bye.
ma'am.
All right. Bye bye.
That was absolutely magical. That was one of the most magical encounters I've ever heard in my life. I believe her 100%. 100%. 1,000%. Loadmaster. I remember this guy. Totally. Loadmaster, how are you? We've talked before, right?
Yeah, we've talked before. I was gonna give you a little update on some information that I found out
Oh, absolutely.
from a friend of mine.
Do you mind if I potentially use this audio for the podcast?
Sure, that's fine.
Cool. Yeah. Feel free to share what you've got going on.
Well, yeah. I don't know if you want me to go back over the story that we shared earlier for you, and
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
get everybody caught up. All right. Where I used to live is in Mariposa County. I lived probably about 15 miles south of Yosemite National Park. Uh, Lived in a very, very small wooded area. Closest neighbor was about 3.5 miles away. Went to grade school with at least 6, 7 grades with the same teacher, same people. So very small knit community, even though it has grown a little bit. But off of Highway 132 that heads up towards Yosemite um, and connects to Highway 120 that comes out of Groveland. There's a place called Buck Meadows. We used to own a gas station and kind of like a little convenience store way back in the day. We got a lot of traffic from people that were coming in and out of the main gate there at Yosemite. But for some of us that lived up there, that area had some of the best, natural fishing that you could ever dream of, and being young kids, summertime, you're out exploring. So one day, about 5 or 6 of us decided that we were going to try to reach this meadow that had like not really a pond, but a really wide opening of the Sacramento River, or not the Sacramento River, but the Merced River that comes out of Yosemite. It's a very hard place to get into, so we decided to do it on horseback one day. And so we're probably about maybe an hour into the ride, and probably about maybe 1.5 miles away from our goal that we wanted to get to. And I grew up with a lot of Me-Wuk Indians from that area, and to them, Bigfoot is just like another tale that's told by their grandparents or their elders that have been passed down from generations to generations to generations, and there's a lot of belief in it. These people believe in it wholeheartedly. And this area where we were going into, matter of fact, there was actually a couple of Indian friends that I grew up with that was with us that day. And we got up to this one meadow, and the horses started to get spooked. The horses, and we were all joking around, we're just waiting to, basically get up there to go fishing, kind of like a 3-hour ride for about a half-hour fishing just so we can get back. So we didn't really want to waste too much time. So we get up there, and the horses are really starting to get bugged out. And one of my friends, he's like, he's having a hard time with his horse. It wasn't his horse. It was one that he had borrowed from a friend. So the horse didn't really want him on there, and the horse was starting to get really spooked. And then it started hitting us. We the odor, the breeze kind of got us, and the odor was like, I mean, I've been in and out of combat. I've seen a lot of death. I've been part of rescue teams up there that have found bodies that have been, out in the sun for days, and the smell is something that's very unique. But this was different. This smell kind of like, once it got into your nose, it was just like you could never get it out. You could never get this smell out of your nose. And it was just putrid. I mean, there was a couple of us that they were throwing up. It was just stunk like something we never smelt before. And one of the guys started looking around at the tree line of this meadow, and we started noticing that some of these sugar pines that they don't get that tall. They get about maybe 15, 20, maybe 30 feet if you get lucky. But I'd say about 10 feet up, they're about maybe 4 inches in diameter, maybe. And these trees were just snapped like they were twigs. But there wasn't just one. You could tell you find one, and then, okay, there's another one, and there's another one, and there's another one. And we started figuring out that it pretty much covered this whole meadow. And then one of our Indian friends that was with us, he kind of figured out what it was, and he was telling us, we got to go, we got to turn around, we have to leave right now. And we're like, what's the deal? I says, well, we've stumbled into some territory with something that don't want us up here. I mean, this is probably an area where we were at probably the last time probably humans were up in there, other than a bunch of crazy kids trying to find a stream to fish in. We're probably back during the days when they did a lot of hydro mining up there. They did a ton of hydro mining up there, just south of Yosemite. I mean, they used the Merced River, since that area that comes out of the park is pretty steep, so you get a pretty good flow of water. So you can, I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen any kind of like back in the history days, back in like the 1800s, late 1800s, when they were hydro mining that whole area of California. And there's been documentation in the museum in Mariposa. There was actually a diary of a young girl that lived near Coulterville, that's close to that area, and it has a couple of entries into this logbook, or this diary of this girl about hairy men coming down and destroying hydro mining equipment, which at the day was like metal pipes that ran down the hill lines that. The farther they went down, the smaller the diameter the pipe would get, until you got like a fire hose at the other end. And that's what they just used, that fire hose, and just sprayed the land, all the dirt, to try to break up as much dirt as they could to get it down into the river. And then the Chinese would come through, and they would pan through the gold, try to find what as much gold as they could. And they did. They found a lot of gold, but they also got into areas where they had sustained a lot of damage. I mean, there was something up there that was coming down and destroying some of the equipment. I mean, sometimes they were like destroying cabins. I mean, running the people out of there. I mean, they knew what they were doing. These creatures, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're not like a normal animal or a bear or whatever that. They've got some intelligence there. They want you out. They want you out.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to a friend of mine. You know, we were just talking about it after I shared this with you, and he was like, he'd almost forgotten about it. And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, and then he reminded me of another story that we had up there in that same area where a big storm. I mean, it was like raining and winding and stuff like that. And that area had got a lot of storm damage. And storms will do just like any other animal. It'll make a move to a different area just to get away from the storm. And a lot of people up there was a lot of sightings on that storm. There was a lot of people and my grandpa drove a tow truck up there, so he picked up one guy and he's like, oh yeah, they're migrating right now because of the storm. They're trying to get down out of the gully and try to get up into higher ground.
Wow.
And it, it does, and this guy that I just talked to, he's a couple weeks ago, he's like, yeah, there's still signs of that stuff up there. And we were talking like, man, would be like a challenge for somebody. If somebody wants to really find, I think they could probably go up there and spend some time and actually encounter Bigfoot. I think within my wholehearted, I think that they're up there. And according to the Me-Wuk Indians that are up there in that area, they claim that area just south of the park is like, they call it, I don't remember the word, but it's like a family word for Me-Wuk. It's basically where Bigfoot congregates. They raise their young up there. They just basically have been living up there for years. And it's in an area that you cannot get to. I mean, even when there's fires that happen through there, even some of the tankers and some of the helicopters that fight fires have a hard time getting up in there. And it's just really nasty. It's just an area just south of the park. Wasn't cut out like Yosemite Park by glaciers, but probably got a lot of the tail end of that period of the world, back in the day. So it's just one of the hospitable areas of California, Northern California, that you can find. And I think it's a safe place for them. I think it's a refuge for them. I think they do migrate along the Sierra Nevadas to get up into like in the Klamath Fall areas, and then across into the Cascades. And I think they do. I think they do actually migrate. And I've actually heard of people that track wolves. They track wolves up and down the west coast, or the whole Northwest. I mean, we just got notification about a couple months ago about I don't remember the number of the wolf, but he's been seen migrating south with a herd of females, which he normally does. But there's been some of these trackers that track these wolves that have seen things that what's that traveling with these wolves? It looks almost like a bear, but a bear doesn't, travel through large dense areas on their back, on their hind, standing up. Mm-hmm. And the funny part is the curious part is they're finding little ones. Not just big, but little ones, younglings, what they call them. I can't remember the word for it from the Me-Wuks, but it's a youngling. So I think that area up there, and I think that's why it's so protected by them, because they do have their young up there.
Sure.
And that whole area up there, I think if I live up farther north, and I don't think I could point on a map where it's at, but if somebody was to try to get up into the park basically and follow the river down, it's going to take you a while, and you're going to need some equipment. You're going to have to be a very, very skilled outdoorsman to get through there. But I think if somebody's up for the challenge and they really want to put a rest to this proof stuff, if they can make it in and make it out, I think they can encounter Bigfoot. I think they can encounter Bigfoot. I think they can encounter females. I think they can encounter, just like I said, the younglings, because there's a lot of things that's been documented up in that area, and it's been passed off as people because of the size, but it's no mistaking. There's a difference between a 10-year-old boy running through the woods and, say, like a 10-year-old Bigfoot running through the woods. There's a big
absolutely.
difference.
Absolutely.
But that area, I just, for my friend to reaffirm for me that, oh yeah, that's, and it's just like it's something that they know up there, and they've known it for years. They don't bother with it. They like, hey, he's on his own. He doesn't come tear up my stuff. I don't come up and tear up his stuff. But living up there as long as I did, there's been a lot of stuff up there that's happened that's just not understandable. It's not explainable. It's hard to explain unless you've been there. The terrain is just like, we're talking like South American jungle like type stuff. The canopy is very, very thick with oaks and pines and a lot of granite. There's a lot of granite that just big canyons, big gullies, and you get in there, you might not make it out. Nowadays technology, with the way satellite phones and the way just phone service is as it is now, would probably be a whole lot easier to get into that area and get out nowadays than it was back when I grew up there.
Oh, absolutely.
We just stumbled on it by accident, and I don't ever go up there ever again. But I know that whole episode that we had up there will be with me for the rest of my life, and I've never come across anything that smelt that bad since then. But and it's not like like on TikTok, and now you have a lot of these Bigfoot AI stuff that looks more like a gorilla than anything else, and it's not like that. It's just not like that. They're more of a humanoid looking creature than anything else. According to there's a friend of mine who is a Me-Wuk. He believes in it. He believes in it. So he thinks that there's a lot of reincarnation that goes into that. A lot of the Me-Wuk warriors that died way back in the day, have been reincarnated, and that's who and they come back as protectors of the land. But if somebody wants to go up there, I would suggest that if you want to find it, if you're willing to go up there and find it, I think you can. I still think you can. And there's a lot of people up there that will tell you you're a damn fool for trying, because you just might find them. And if it is an area that have younglings and females, they're going to protect it with everything that they have.
Yeah, you are walking into a very dangerous situation, no doubt.
Oh yeah, and I think that the markings with the trees and the smell, that's just a big time warning that you're entering in an area that you don't need to be. And the only indigenous people up there, like I said, are the Me-Wuks, and they're the only ones that I know of that have a history of this, and yeah, I would really love to see somebody go up in there and see what they could find. I'd love to see it be recorded and documented, to be honest with you, because the Bureau of Land Management, they don't even go up in there. For Forestry Service, they wouldn't even go up in there.
Oh wow!
It's very uncharted, untouched territory. Maybe you might get a few gold miners. There's been a few people that's gone up there to try to find, because I don't think they got all the gold. There's got to be some left, but it's just getting to it. I've had a claim myself up, and not in that area, about maybe 10 miles south of that area, where I started in 2 inches of water and finish in bedrock and be like almost 8 feet deep in the water, using snorkel and scuba gear just to dredge the gold out of these cracks and stuff. So, if somebody's a gold miner and they want to go up there and find some gold, maybe look around for Bigfoot, hey, you never know what you might find.
You never know. I mean, Loadmaster, it's great to talk to you again. Thank you so much for sharing your account again and an update. I appreciate you coming up, sir.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. I don't think anybody's going to change my mind. I know what I saw, I know what I smelled, I know where I was at, and like I said, I've been in just about every conflict that we've been in between '85 and 2011 when I was in the military. So I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've still, there's not been one thing that's topped that. And like I said, I was 10 years old at the time, and that was 50 years ago.
Wow. Well, keep us up to date with if you have any updates in the future, sir. But thank you so much for coming up.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. Good to talk to Loadmaster again.
Thanks for listening to the Bigfoot Society podcast. The things you heard today are intense, unscripted, and from all corners of the world. Hope you enjoyed, and if you have your own story to share, please reach out to me. Email bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Your story might be the one that is able to help someone else work through their traumatic events that they've experienced as a part of this subject. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure you're following the show there and leave us a 5-star positive review, as it does help other people find us through the algorithm. Until next time, keep your eyes open, trust your gut, and never stop asking what else might be out there, and see you in the woods.